What if the most beautiful woman you've ever seen could be your last? What if her ethereal beauty hides claws that can tear through flesh and a hunger that can never be satisfied? Welcome to SherlockMode. In the misty forests of Malaysia and Indonesia, where ancient trees whisper secrets to the wind, a legend lives that has haunted generations. The legend of the Pontianak, a name that makes mothers clutch their children closer and men avoid dark roads after midnight. The name itself carries a chilling meaning, derived from the Malay words Perempuan Mati Beranak, woman who died in childbirth. But this is not just folklore. This is a terror so real that an entire city in Indonesia bears her name, forever marked by her presence. Our story begins centuries ago, when childbirth was a dance with death itself. In the villages of the Malay archipelago, many women never lived to hold their babies. When these women died in the agony of labor, their spirits, twisted by pain and loss, refused to find peace. They became something else, something hungry, something vengeful. The Pontianak appears as a vision of perfection. Long silky hair cascading like black water, skin as pale as moonlight, dressed in flowing white robes. But her beauty is a trap, a lure for the unwary. Behind her ethereal appearance lies something monstrous. When she reveals her true form, her eyes become pools of blood-red fury. Her elegant fingers transform into razor-sharp claws. The legends tell us she has one signature mark, a gaping hole in the back of her neck, a reminder of her traumatic birth into the world of the undead. But how do you know when the Pontianak is near? The signs are as chilling as they are unmistakable. First comes the scent. The sweet, intoxicating fragrance of plumeria flowers fills the air. Beautiful, but wrong. Too strong. Too sudden. Then the smell changes. The sweetness rots into the stench of decay, of death, of something that should be buried but walks among the living. Dogs howl in the distance. Not the normal bark of a dog protecting its territory, but a primal wailing that speaks of ancient fear. And then you hear it. The sound that freezes blood in veins. The cry of a baby, piercing the night air. But there is no baby. There never is. Here's where the legend becomes truly terrifying. If the crying sounds far away, she is close. If it sounds close, she is already upon you. The Pontianak feeds on revenge. She hunts men who have wronged women, particularly those who have betrayed pregnant women or caused their deaths. But her hunger extends beyond justice. She stalks pregnant women and newborn babies, drawn by the very life force that was denied to her. When she attacks, she tears open her victim's stomach with her claws, feasting on the organs within. A grotesque mirror of the cesarean section that might have saved her own life. But this legend is not confined to ancient times. In 1957, the first Pontianak film was released in Malaysia, launching an entire genre of Southeast Asian horror. The film was so successful it spawned sequels and inspired countless other movies across the region, cementing the Pontianak as the queen of Southeast Asian horror. From Malaysia's Pontianak Harem Sunel Malam to Indonesia's Kuntilanak trilogy, she has terrorized cinema screens for decades. But the most chilling proof of her enduring power comes from those who claim to have encountered her in modern times. In 2020, villagers in Sabak Burnham, Malaysia reported mysterious knockings on doors with no one there. Kitchen grills shaking violently for 30 seconds before opening by themselves. Residents claimed they saw a Pontianak next to a coconut tree at midnight. A photograph allegedly captured the paranormal being standing in the forest. In 2023, a Malaysian auxiliary policeman named Ikmal posted a video on TikTok that went viral. 4.5 million views of what he claimed was a genuine Pontianak encounter. He was on patrol at 2 a.m. when he heard sounds from a restricted forest area. When they investigated, they glimpsed the entity and heard its otherworldly bleating sounds. Another encounter from Indonesia shows CCTV footage of a motorcyclist crossing a bridge at 2 a.m. Unknown to him, a mysterious white figure rides behind him. The vegetable seller only discovered the truth when he fell violently ill after reaching the market. The security footage revealed his supernatural passenger. Personal testimonies flood the internet. A child in Sabah seeing a creature with long nails and white robes crawling on mosquito netting above his bed. A father in Singapore's Changi area in the 1980s encountering a beautiful woman with no legs, appearing as he worked alone on his aquarium project. But perhaps the most fascinating aspect of this legend is that it inspired the founding of an entire city. In 1771, Sheriff Abdurrahman Al-Qadri arrived at the confluence of the Kapuas and Landak rivers in what is now West Kalimantan, Indonesia. The area was infested with Pontianak spirits. Their terrifying voices echoed through the night, preventing his followers from settling. Al-Qadri ordered his men to fire cannons into the forest where the spirits dwelled. The cannon fire drove away the supernatural entities. After the spirits were banished, he built a mosque and palace on the very spot where the Pontianaks once ruled. He named the settlement Pontianak, after the ghosts he had conquered. Today, Pontianak is a thriving city of nearly 700,000 people, sitting directly on the equator. But the locals still commemorate Al-Qadri's victory by firing wooden cannons during festivals. The legend grew so powerful that in 2017, a government official proposed building a 300-foot statue of a Pontianak to attract tourists. The proposal sparked massive protests. Citizens formed the community movement to reject ghost statue because they feared the statue would invite real supernatural activity. But those who know the ancient ways understand that the Pontianak is not invincible. There are protections passed down through generations. Sharp objects, particularly iron nails, are said to paralyze her. If you can drive a nail into the hole at the back of her neck, she becomes powerless. Thorny pandan leaves hung around homes create a barrier she cannot cross. The sound of nails being hammered into wood repels her presence. Some believe that reciting prayers or religious verses can drive her away, as her evil nature cannot withstand sacred words. Yet despite these protections, encounters continue to this day. Security guards report seeing white figures in hospitals. Police officers capture unexplained sounds on patrol. Taxi drivers in Malaysia refuse to pick up lone women in white dresses late at night. Too many stories of passengers who simply vanish from moving vehicles. The Pontianak represents something deeper than just supernatural terror. She embodies the fear of maternal death, the tragedy of childbirth, and the power of unresolved grief. In a region where childbirth was historically dangerous, she became the physical manifestation of every mother's worst nightmare and every child's deepest fear. Her legend has spread beyond Southeast Asia. Similar spirits exist across cultures, the Churail of India and Pakistan, the Manananggal of the Philippines. Each culture has adapted the legend to reflect their own fears and beliefs, but the core remains the same, the vengeful spirit of a woman who died giving life. Modern psychiatrists suggest that mass sightings might be cases of collective hysteria, especially in rural communities where superstition runs deep. Skeptics point to logical explanations: wild animals making strange sounds, optical illusions in poor lighting, or hoaxes designed for internet fame. But explanations cannot account for the consistency of descriptions across centuries and cultures. The same pale skin, the same hole in the neck, the same bloodthirsty nature. They cannot explain why thousands of people across different time periods would report the exact same supernatural encounter. In recent years, the Pontianak has evolved with technology. Social media spreads her story faster than ever before. YouTube channels dedicated to her encounters rack up millions of views. TikTok videos claiming real sightings spread across the platform like wildfire, reaching new generations who might otherwise never hear these ancient tales. Horror movie studios continue to capitalize on her legend. New films featuring the Pontianak are released regularly, each trying to outdo the last in terms of terror. Netflix's Revenge of the Pontianak brought her story to global audiences, introducing Western viewers to Southeast Asian supernatural terror. Tour companies in Malaysia and Indonesia now offer Pontianak hunting expeditions, taking brave tourists to locations famous for sightings. These tours often end with terrified participants claiming they've seen or heard something supernatural, perpetuating the legend for new generations. But perhaps the most chilling aspect of the Pontianak legend is how it adapts to modern fears. Today, she's as likely to be spotted on CCTV as in a forest. Urban legends speak of her appearing in hospital maternity wards, drawn by the scent of new life. Security cameras malfunction when she's near. She's been reported in shopping malls, apartment buildings, and even on public transportation, proving that modernization cannot contain ancient evil. The legend persists because it touches something primal within us. The fear of death and childbirth, the terror of losing a child, the dread of unfinished business. In a world where medical advances have made childbirth safer, the Pontianak reminds us that some fears are so ancient and powerful they transcend time itself. She represents the dark side of motherhood, not the nurturing, protective instinct, but the fury of a mother denied her child, twisted into something monstrous. Recent reports suggest the Pontianak phenomenon is spreading. Similar encounters are being reported in countries with large Southeast Asian immigrant populations. Communities in Australia, Canada, and the United States report Pontianak sightings in areas with significant Malaysian and Indonesian populations. As if the spirits themselves are following their people across oceans, carrying ancient terrors to new lands. Child psychiatrists report an increase in night terrors among Southeast Asian children who have heard these stories from grandparents. The power of the legend lies not just in its horror, but in its cultural significance. It connects generations, preserving ancient beliefs in a modern world. Whether you believe in the supernatural or not, the Pontianak remains one of the most enduring and terrifying legends in world folklore. She is a reminder that some stories are too powerful to die, too frightening to forget, and too deeply embedded in human consciousness to ever truly disappear. The next time you smell plumeria flowers on a still night, or hear a baby crying when there should be no baby near, remember the legend of the Pontianak. For in the shadows between life and death, between love and vengeance, between beauty and horror, she waits. And she is always hungry. The legend of the Pontianak proves that some truths are too terrifying for daylight, but too important to remain silent. If you enjoyed unraveling this mystery, like and subscribe to Sherlock Mode.